If you're ready to take back control of your health, you're in the right place. Welcome to Awaken Wellness with me, Tanya Candy, registered nurse and health coach. Now, I'm not your typical nurse. I consider myself divorced from traditional healthcare. I broke free of the sick care system in 2019 when I realized that the root cause to my sickness, my autoimmune disease, and my chronic pain was me. If you're ready for truth, for clarity, for honesty in a tough, love, compassionate way, I'm the coach for you. Join me while we dig into our root causes of sickness and disease. All right, here we are. Today we are live from my kitchen. As you can see, it's not a fancy kitchen, but it suits me just fine. We're going to talk about a few things. I've got some questions we're going to get to and answer, and it's going to feel scattered. We're going to cover a lot of topics. Nothing's going to be very in depth. Nothing's going to be deep education or anything like that. It's just a little question and answer. So today is the full moon, September full moon, the harvest moon. If you follow the full moons, we talk about them a lot in parasite cleansing, but in my world, I talk about it a lot because of the good Lord, the Creator Yahweh. Most of His feast days, His appointed times that He wants to spend with us, just so happen to be on full moons. So there's a lot. It's not just the underbelly. It's just not the parasites that enjoy the full moon. They are appointed times, portals in times of celebration and feast days. So I was trying to pretty much take the day off today because this is they call it a high Sabbath. It's going into the Feast of Tabernacles, one of the fall feasts. So kind of like a lot of health things when it comes to the Christian Torah mix. I know enough to be dangerous, right? There's a lot of topics that I just know enough to be dangerous. So I should be able to see comments. If you have any questions or comments, just want to say hi, give me a shout out. If you're watching later on the replay, I do try to go back and look at those comments, but sometimes I don't see it. So if you don't get any feedback or you don't get an answer, it's best just to email me. You can email info@cellcorediy.com, or you can go to my website, awakenwellnessllc.com, and click on the connect with me or one of those tabs, and we will try our best to get questions answered. I just recently was invited to be a guest on a podcast, and that was super fun. I've got a lot of great feedback and questions and all sorts of stuff coming in for that, so love it. We're going to talk today about food. We're going to talk about castor oil packs. We're going to talk about coffee enemas. And those are just a few basic things. So I've got sitting on the counter all sorts of stuff that I drug out of my cupboards to show you. So I get that food is difficult. It's difficult for me too. Resources, I don't love to cook. So I've always been a throw it in. What's in the cupboard, throw it in, make something up. And for the most part, it comes out pretty decent. I'm that way when I mix up a coffee enema. So I do have a kind of a protocol, but you don't have to follow any of this stuff exactly. Like, you're not going to ruin anything. Just jump in and do it. That's the important part. Just jump in and do it. So let's talk a little bit about food first. We all know that we're supposed to be doing salt, right? Salt, take a little bit on your tongue. This is my salt container with my Celtic sea salt that has gone up in price and it's just nuts. That supply and demand. Good old Barbara O'Neill giving a shout out, and it's hand mined, so it wasn't cheap to start with. But second best for me is Redmond sea salt, and the Redmond is still readily available. Most grocery stores have it. I'm going to talk about Thrive Market a lot. I use Thrive Market. I use Azure Standard. I have affiliate links, or they're not really affiliate links, they're just shares. So, like, I think you get $25 in free groceries, and I get $25 in free groceries if you click and it tracks back to me. But anything helps, right? So, food, I think, is going to get harder and harder to find decent food. So, all of these things that I'm showing you are technically processed foods. When I ask clients if they eat processed food, a lot of people always say, "No, I don't eat processed food." Well, if it has a label on the back of it, it's processed food. But I think people think like TV dinners, like, or Stouffer's lasagna or something when you say processed food. So it is processed, and we want to watch what we're consuming. We want to watch the ingredients. We absolutely, organic matters. Yes, there is still bad air quality, bad water quality, and organic is still not perfect for sure. But don't let your brain talk you out of paying extra money for organic because you want to argue that it's really not organic or it's really not perfect. It's still better. And when it comes to toxins, we're going to talk later on about MTHFR gene mutation. And it's just crazy. My energy scanner, it's not diagnostic, just energy. We're just trying to narrow down a target, try to figure out what's going on with you. And I come across so much of this MTHFR problems, either double mutation or single mutation. And sometimes we want to test further to see if, especially if a person is super sensitive, when they start to detox, if they just get sick, or if they're a super sensitive person that just can't take anything and they can feel it, it makes them feel yucky. There's a good chance that that MTHFR mutation is at play. They say, statistically speaking, around 40% of the population has got some degree of that genetic issue. It is genetically, and it affects your liver and your methylation. Your liver has got steps, multiple steps to methylate toxins to get them to a water soluble form so it can get out your body. Has to do a lot with B vitamins and how your body can handle them or not handle them. Fake vitamins like fortified stuff, like synthetic cereals that have synthetic stuff sprayed on them, just over the counter vitamins that are cheap they're trash. There's so many toxins. You're better off not taking anything than taking that stuff. So the conspiracy theory, right? The same people that are putting the poisons in our food are manufacturing those vitamins. So quality matters, especially if you're sick. And like your kids, I guess I didn't really mean to get off on that right away, but that gene mutation can kind of go hand in hand with nursing problems, with tongue ties, with lip tie, tongue tie, kind of a vein on the head, stork bite, birthmarks. They can all be things that make you think you should investigate whether or not that is a case. It's hard. It's hard for me to get adults that have this condition and they don't know it and they've just been living like the general population, and they're sick and they're hard, they're tired, they're toxic. It's hard to get them better. It's very tricky. So, food matters. Your toxins matter. All of it matters. Kids, even adults, behavior problems, being aware of those food dyes. Like we've got such a praise report. I'm so proud of my daughter-in-law. She is got their kids off of food dyes, and the difference in their behavior is so significant. It's so significant. So I did grab this is from Drag Market, and it's chocolate, and it's, it looks like it's bright colored, like no way there's not going to have food dyes in there, but it is flavored. The food dyes, like it'll tell you right in the label. Um, Colors come from beet juice, spirulina extract, so that'd be the green, red radish juice. Um, it's got some cane sugar, but cane sugar is better than fake sugars. So, like your sugar alcohols are so terrible. We need to be staying away from aspartame, from Splenda, from those fake sugars. So, so terrible. So, it matters. What we put in our mouths has got to be at the top of our list. And like a lot of people, I know a lot of people can't afford Cellcore products, or maybe they can afford them for that first 4 months, and then we got to talk about budget. We got to talk about your health matters. It all matters. And then I could get on my insurance spiel, right? Especially if you're paying out of pocket for insurance. Well, take that money and insure yourself. Buy better food. Buy good supplements, right? My heart goes out because I want to help everybody. And I mean, if I know if you're on government insurance and it is just a nasty web because the medication is free, right? But good quality food is not. Good quality vitamins are not. So I gotta keep rolling before I get off on a tangent. What I kind of want to really show you guys something that's been working good for me to I'm not going plant-based by any means, but I am doing less meat and I'm doing just less food. I really like fasting. I've messed around with a lot of fasting. Again, I know enough to be dangerous on that subject. What I'm personally trying to do is move towards a 2 meal a day with 6 hours between and no snacking. So that no snacking is so good. Like, I'm still trying to heal my GI. I'm still trying to get my stomach to make stomach acid better. I'm still trying to get my pancreas to make digestive enzymes better. So by doing that 6 hour spread, no snacking, we have flaps, we have gates on all of these parts of our digestion. So when we close that gate and let everything process for 6 hours, the gate gets stronger. So like your hiatal hernia, your reflux, that is a brilliant way to heal those gates, to heal that reflux, is by shutting it off. You can drink water. That's fine. Water doesn't stimulate digestive enzymes, digestive juices, but you don't want to be drinking liquids that will stimulate that anything with sugar in it, anything like that. That's no. That's a no. No juice. No. Just stick to water, stick to your electrolytes, and we're gonna strengthen those gates. We're gonna strengthen those sphincters. The Some philosophies are multiple snacks every, small meals every little bit all throughout the day. If you're doing that and that works for you, then keep doing it by all means. Everybody is a bio individual person, and not one thing is right for everybody. Today, I'm telling you what I am working towards. Just that schedule thing is super difficult in my world. Fasting until 1 o'clock and then eating my eating window being 1 and after totally works better in my life, in my schedule. So, this is really a work in progress for me, but I know that it's super important to go to bed with a totally empty stomach and to let our bodies rest, let your stomach sleep. We are designed, by that clock when we get up and our cortisol is higher. That's when our body digests better. So, that makes sense to me. It does. It really makes sense to me. So, you. I am just throwing out suggestions. So something that I've been doing, because I don't have a lot of breakfast isn't my time when I have a lot of time. So this looks terrible, right? It does not look appealing, but that is my leftover portion of my overnight oatmeal. So I'm just gonna show you a few ingredients that I have on hand, and I make this different depending on what I have in the cupboard or what sounds good. I've got a lot of, like I say, most of my ingredients come from Thrive Market. These are cacao chips, and I must be out of cacao powder. I was gonna show you how I make my homemade chocolates. I can talk about it, but I'm out of cacao powder. So these are cacao chips. This is coconut, shredded, unsweetened coconut. I like both of those ingredients in there. This is almond powder, so I like that in there. And I know we say no peanuts, especially if you're in those first 4 healing months, peanuts on the list. I do sometimes use some dehydrated peanut powder, that PB2 powder. And they have an organic version as well. So there, anytime you game up, you step up and do organic, I think you have less chance of having mold in your peanuts. I do. Non-dairy of your choice. I just grabbed almond to show you. This Full Circle, they carry that locally at my grocery store. So I like that, or coconut milk. I always buy unflavored, no added sugar. You do you, but that's the way I go. So that's like my base when I'm making this pudding. I don't measure. I just dump, and then in the morning, like when you go to eat it, if it's thicker than you want it, dump a little more, right? If it's runny, then well, you can dump other stuff in it to thicken it up if you want. Um, Other things that I use for the base of it are, it's going to be rolled oats, and there too, Thrive Market. Chia seed. I do not, a lot of people do, but I do not recommend eating chia seeds unless they've been soaked, unless they're jelly, because I know, I guess it's the nurse in me that still thinks about diverticulitis. Because like those chia seeds, they swell up when they start to rehydrate. And I think you're better off with them swelling before they go in your body. So great source of protein. Chia seeds are really, really a good protein source. So those definitely always go in whatever I'm making. If I've got fresh fruit or something like that, then I'll make more of a fruity type blend to it. Other things, like maca powder, that is so good for your hormones. Throw it in, especially if you're on your hormone building weeks, like your progesterone building. Throw in some maca powder. Um, I got this meringue powder. I only used it once. That made my stuff taste really bad. So I don't remember if it was bitter or what it was, but that one, I don't know. Maybe in a green type smoothie. I had put it in just my chocolate mix. It wasn't a good blend with that. Um, I've got somebody that we're working on alkalinity. They're super acid, trying to get more alkaline in them. So us beef eaters, us meat eaters tend to be way too acid in the gut. So I'm not convinced that alkaline water 24/7 is a good thing or is worth investing a ton of money in an alkaline water, because water is going directly into your stomach, which needs to be high acid. And your stomach is going to mix directly with that alkaline water. And then by the time it gets through your duodenum, your body is going to alkalize it. But foods that tend to be acid, they make it through all of that and they can still produce acid by the time they get to your colon. And meat, especially, is broke down in the stomach and it needs that stomach acid to break down those proteins. So if you don't have the stomach acid there, that meat is super sluggish. So you're not getting the benefit of it. One, you're not getting the protein if you're not breaking it down in your stomach. But then it gets to your colon and it's too acidic and it's too sluggish and it stays in your colon way too long and can be really irritating, like to that appendix, and kind of constipating. But for the best way to explain that, sluggish colon, too much meat, and then add nitrates like processed meat, like it is a cancer situation waiting to happen. Add yeast to it, like if you've been on antibiotics and your candida and your yeast is overactive, then you've got nitrates and acid meat. Like it's just a cancer. It's a colon cancer thing waiting to happen. So in our farm and ranch community, we know that if you don't scrape the horse manure out of your trailer, it will rot your steel trailer, right? So if we're constipated, if we're not pooping after every meal is ideal. But if we're not at least pooping daily, that's where your lower back pain is. That's why you have degenerative disc, because that colon that's leaky is leaking right on your spine, right? So that acid, like, why do people's discs degenerate for what seems to be no good reason? It all comes down to digestion. What affects your gut affects your brain. It affects your vessels. It affects it all. So eating better matters. Less toxins matter. Organic, clean food, it matters. It all matters. Okay. Some more items, like if you're going to do a berry one, like here's pomegranate, superfood, again, powder. Here's, if you're going to do greens, that is great to try to bring up your alkalinity. I've never done juicing. Like, I don't know, I guess I don't really like juice for one thing, but the greens are hard to get. This here, the Camu Camu powder, this is your best vitamin C. This is real vitamin C. So like Camu Camu, and it's expensive. I sell some capsules in my store. They're made of paleo, and they're mostly Camu Camu, and then some real food vitamin C, like ascorbic acid that you buy in vitamin C and take 1,000 milligrams because you're sick. It's really not doing what you think it's doing. So real food sources. If you want to save money, you can take this Camu Camu and put it in capsules yourself with one of those little do-it-yourself machines and swallow it. Or smoothies, make smoothies your best friend. I love more so in the summer than the winter because it's cold. Like I don't love to start my morning with a cold smoothie when it's cold out. But you can pack so much goodness in a smoothie and just drink it, right? So this Camu Camu, that should be on your list of superfoods. Get it in your smoothie. Don't put it in your chocolate. That's gross. You kind of have to have a more fruity type base if you don't want to ruin it anyway. What else? This is just the nibs. So from Thrive Market, I had those earlier in the glass jar. And these are fun. They kind of make your stuff crunchy. There's a place in town that sells ackee berries and or ackee berry bowls, and like you can buy that ackee berry powder ready to go, put it in ice, make it yourself, and then they put all this. They put nut butter and fruit, and they make them so awesome. Like these are things that we can do at home, and that is acceptable for lunch. There's more nutrition in that as a lunch than there is a hamburger and fries. I guarantee you that much. So we have to think about food differently than what we are used to. What else? Oh, there's like some MCT powder, which is always good for good fats and keeping you satisfied longer. Um, I lied. I do have cacao powder. There's my cacao powder. So I like to take that, a cup of that, a cup of melted down coconut oil, and a third of a cup of organic maple syrup for sugar. And then I just put it in these reusable cups and make myself a chocolate um, that is a decent sugar. And the coconut oil is a good fat. The cacao is a superfood. So I get a chocolate fix and it's actually health food. And those you got to keep in the refrigerator because the coconut oil will, if your house is hot, it will melt on you. Um, like my grandkids love those things, and they are great for your hormone building phase. When you're craving sugar and you're craving chocolate, your body is trying to build progesterone. Progesterone wants some sugar, and you want to stick with nature's carbs, whether you lean into some sweet potatoes or some yams. Those are very good for hormones, very good for progesterone. So we crave these things for a reason. And usually, if you just get some good chocolate, get some cacao in you, you're not as crabby. Like it's a thing. It's a real thing. That chocolate happy hormone building. It's not a lie. You didn't dream it. That's true. All right. I still have a few people watching. I love that. No comments though. Not that I can see anyway. Does anybody have any comments? Chocolate fix. I order these chocolate covered nuts from Thrive Market. Again, good sugar. It's coconut sugar, cacao, not milk chocolate. So there are better choices. Other like these goji berries. Snack on. Cran. I had some cranberries and some raisins and all sorts of nuts and whatnot. So get creative. If you're making up that pudding, there is no right or wrong. Just start throwing stuff in it. Raisins. I like that coconut in there. Good coconut superfood. So that is my little spiel on food. Just start somewhere. Just throw it in. Like, you don't need a recipe. It doesn't need to be fancy. Just throw it in. I got some lemongrass powder. I haven't tried that yet. I really don't know what to do with it, but I was at a health food store and I was like, I'm gonna grab that. Don't know what to do with it yet. Put it in the cupboard. Someday I'll use it. All right, so we're gonna move on to coffee enemas. Who's ready to try a coffee enema? I'm not going to be graphically showing you, but maybe it'd be easier if I just move my computer to where this stuff is. So Dr. J from Cellcore, he recommends this brand. And I do have some in the store that because I bought a big pack of it, so I'm selling off the extra. But it's this S.A. Wilson's Gold Roast Coffee. And I was using up what I had previously. So today was the first day I opened this Gold Roast Coffee, and I was like, this is weird. So when you're making your coffee for a coffee enema, you want to use French press, because the filter takes out some of the good crystals that we want. But this coffee. It's weird. Golden roast. They weren't kidding. So it's just gold. I generally do like 2 scoops of my coffee scoop and distilled water, and this is still warm, and then press it. So I'm probably going to use this later tonight. I tasted it and it's not very, I don't, it tastes more like tea than coffee. But I don't know. It was weird. I assume this is what it's supposed to look like. So, your coffee enema is a coffee base. You don't have to use this organic, like you can go on Amazon and put in coffee enema and it will give you a few different varieties. You want organic, you don't want moldy, toxic coffee. So, organic coffee is kind of a must. But I mean, you shouldn't be drinking anything but organic mold-free coffee as well. If that's new to you, sorry, but most coffee is full of mold. And sometimes you can't even trust the organic stuff. So then this is my bucket. I would someday I like to upgrade. I can't tell you the name of the website right now, but again, Dr. J from Cellcore, who's done knows all the tips and tricks, he found a glass bucket with the spout that comes right out the bottom. That would be way better, because just this little here, like I always feel like a lot of my good stuff gets wasted, that you can't get it out. It's right behind there. But anyhow, you want silicone, you want medical grade, you want stainless steel. You don't want plastic that is going to leach any toxins into your body, right? This is the insert end. You can use coconut oil or something like that to lubricate. There's valves. Before, when you get everything situated, you want to prime that and make sure the coffee is all the way down and you don't have any air leaks before you insert it, or then you have to re-insert it, and that's never very much fun. So if you're ready to do a coffee enema and you are a recipe person, you want a specific recipe, you can get a hold of me and I will help you out. Um, when I clean this, I just do um, hot warm water. Like it's just food items that are going through there. So this isn't like a dirty process like people kind of naturally think it is. So we do the coffee, then you're going to want a little bit more distilled water. So you probably want about a total of 3 cups maybe of liquid. You don't need a whole lot more than that. If so, coffee enemas, one, I should say, are not for constipation. Coffee enemas are for your bile duct. The coffee enema is to help stagnation in your bile, your gallbladder, your liver. Like your liver sits here and your gallbladder's tucked under it, and then it's going to communicate and drop that bile into the colon. So when you've had gallbladder surgery, more than likely the real reason that your gallbladder went bad was the liver will get stones that will get lodged in the gallbladder or in those ducts, or sometimes the bile that's coming up from the liver. Bile is it takes a ton of energy for the body to create bile, and bile is recirculated. So bile is like the oil in your vehicle. And when you have sluggish, toxic bile, like it's like not changing your oil in your vehicle for your whole life, right? So you know what happens to your engine if you don't change the oil and you have bad, toxic, thick oil, right? So I want you to take that over to your liver. And toxic, thick, sluggish bile will also cause the gallbladder, because it goes inside the gallbladder to a certain extent. And if it's sitting in there and it's stagnant, that's where you're going to get those stones. Or the stones could have come directly from the liver, because the liver will take cholesterol and capsulate toxins that it can't methylate in order to protect you. It doesn't know what else to do with these toxins. So it creates little stones and tucks them away in your liver, like grape nuts. I personally have passed a ton of those liver stones. Post coffee enema, if you're looking, if you like put one of those hat things in your toilet and you want to know what's coming out of you, a lot of times, if you're having a successful coffee enema, you will have those little grape nuts. You will have um, little stone looking things, little pebbles. That is very good. Better out than in. So that, Christina, is the purpose of the coffee enema. If you are constipated, you're kind of wasting your time with the coffee. You should do just a tap water or a like saline enema first, and get the stool out of the way before you do the coffee enema. So more on the coffee enema. So we got to the point where we're doing like about 3 or so cups of liquid is what we want in this. And then we can add all sorts of fun stuff in here. Do you have to? No, you can just do coffee. That's not a big deal. But if you've got advanced TUDCA, you're gonna take one of those, open up the capsule, and just dissolve it in there. Okay, TUDCA is awesome in your coffee enema. TUDCA also opens that bile duct, and that's why we take TUDCA orally, is that it opens the liver, opens the bile duct. So when we go this way with it, it also does the same. It adds that energy. I always like a CT Minerals in my coffee enema. It just increases the energy, increases that cell frequency, right? So we want to, all those organs are sluggish and they're running lower frequency than we want. So there's so much energy, good energy in the CT Minerals. So again, we just open up one, let the powder dissolve in the liquid. I like a binder then in the coffee enema too. So like carboxy is kind of my favorite, but you might not have carboxy on hand. I usually don't recommend carboxy until way later in the program, or if we know that you've got mold that we're trying to get rid of, or if you're a Lyme patient and we're trying to get down to that cellular level and heal Lyme disease, then we're using carboxy. Or people who like to sauna a lot, carboxy and you drink carboxy with some electrolytes before you get in the sauna, and that's really good for mold if you've had mold exposure. And then we use some organic molasses, like a tablespoon of it, and stir that in. The molasses, for whatever reason, helps you hold it better, helps you hold the enema. So the goal with the enema, and don't feel like you failed if you can't hold it, but the goal is to hold it for about 20 minutes before you let it go. So I've had times when I've done coffee enemas and held it forever. Like I did not have a surge of that water coming back out. I don't know if that means my colon was dehydrated. No idea what was the deal in that case. I've had other times where I barely get it in and it's like, no, no way, I can't hold it for 2 minutes. And you just sit on the toilet and it comes out, and that's fine. And if that's the case, then I usually try to wait a few hours and do one again. I do usually like to make enough at once to do 2 batches a few hours apart. If I can, if I'm feeling like I'm going to be able to hold it, I like to come out to the living room and I'll lay on my back with my legs on the couch. So like I'm in an L position. I don't know how to simulate that. And then I'll put a pillow like under my butt. So my my butt's off the floor and that fluid's going to rock up. Like gravity helps that fluid go up my colon a little bit further than it would, if you were standing. You're not going to get it up further up your body. Like if you're trying to do an enema because somebody's plugged up, we always say lay on your left side or whatever. But you can do that. You can lay however you want, but I like to use gravity to try to get that coffee closer to my liver. The coffee itself is a vasodilator. So it's the coffee itself that is opening up, vasodilating the blood vessels in that area is why the coffee itself is a beneficial thing. All right. So does anybody else have any questions about that? Christina, hopefully I got your question covered. There's that. I have one other just new neat protocol that I want to shout out in the world. If you're watching me, there's a good chance you're not somebody who needs it, but you might know somebody who does, or even just for shedding. So this is going to be relative to the V word. I know it seems crazy that we're still even having to talk about that, right? Or that this is still a thing. But I have got this neat product in the shop. It has got herbal support as well as enzymes, and it is said to, just said to, it's not proven science, and we're not claiming to cure anything, but it is said to, the enzymes in it are said to break down the material, the substance in the body that wants to form these mysterious clots for no good reason. So, used prophylactically to help keep that from happening, it is a beautiful thing. And one of the Cellcore doctors has put together a little additional protocol where you use that. You use the para 3, which is a anti-parasitic. It does have some kill to it. So you use that with it, and then you use that carboxy binder that I had earlier. And the carboxy binder is going to bind toxins while you're killing. So that is a really cool protocol. I'm always glad to have access to these extra things. You never know what is going to walk in my door, who's going to walk in my door, and who's going to need help. So what else was on my list? Questions. I've been really getting questions about parasite cleanses and kids. Do we cleanse kids? We do. It's really best that they are at least about 3 years of age before you do a whole lot with them. I've got some really great liquid products that we use for kids that just really can't do pills yet. We can do Cellcore, and moms will have luck. We can microdose by opening the capsules and just using pinches and putting them in food or however a mom can get the kids to take them. So yes, we can do that for sure, especially when it comes to binders. Cellcore is still going to be my favorite binder, but sometimes even with kids, hopefully we're getting to kids before it's a big infestation, right? So even with kids, we can have fun with them. When we're doing the binders, we can take bentonite clay, mix it up in a little bit of water, and just kind of clay pack them, the bottom of their feet, to just get them all muddy. They think it's a blast, right? And just let that bentonite clay dry, and then stick them in the bath and let it rinse off. That's a great way to bind kids. Another little experiment that you can do with little ones, especially if you think they have some of the pinworms, like some of the anal pinworms. They don't like garlic. So if you can just cook with garlic, get the kid to eat as much garlic as you can, and do it for a couple of weeks, and then put them in the bathtub. And if you want to do it around the full moon, that might work a little bit better for you. But put them in the bathtub, and then put like a cup of raw milk or cream in the bathtub. So one, the garlic has made it an environment that the worms don't want to live in. So they're looking to get out. And then they smell, parasites love dairy, like love, love, love dairy. That's a big reason that dairy is on the top 10 7 no foods while we are trying to heal the body. Parasites love dairy. So anyway, you got the kid in the bath and then you put the milk in there. And those worms, I haven't tried it. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't tried it. I almost tried it to myself. I should this full moon. I should go buy some cream. I don't even keep cream in my house. But I'm scared. I mean, you've seen my videos. I'm not afraid of poop, but the thought of live worms coming out of me to eat milk while I'm taking a bath, ah, I'm scared. But I should do it, right? Practice what you preach, Nurse Tanya. Practice what you preach. But for kids, that is pretty invasive way of getting the pinworms. That's not going to work for other worms. That's not going to work for like a tapeworm or something like that. That's we're talking about those nasty little pinworms. But kids that pick their butt, pick their nose, that then those parasites get well around your house, but they can get in their mucous membranes, like they can get other places. So, and that I would not be afraid to do to a child younger than 3. That's not very harsh. And if you've seen worms in their poop, like you want to do something about it, right? So there's that. I do, if I've got moms, dads who have been doing Cellcore, they know the products pretty well, then I will just give them the kids directions. I love the bioenergetic scanning. It works so awesome for kids. Younger kids that like can't or won't hold the scanner, I can put a diaper on my scanner and we can scan the kids' DNA. So it's still a good idea to kind of see what energetically we're picking up as far as what might be in the kid before we start trying to feed them gross stuff that they don't need, right? So we always want to choose our battles. Energetics is the brand that I use for kids stuff. Like they've got a paracord and amoeba cord. So if they test energetically for amoeba, then we use the amoeba cord. The amoeba is super common. We don't realize how common it is. That is in water. That is in tap water, well water. Your Brita filter does not get rid of it. Like it's in swimming pools. It's everywhere. So those amoebas are super common. What else was on my list? Price. Everybody always is like, how much will it cost and how long do I have to do it? And I know that sucks. It does. Cellcore is the best. It is spendy and you are worth it. That's if you have to save, if you have to put it on a credit card, if you have to budget. I'll always try to work, with a person's budget. But if you're sick, it all depends on how sick you are, how long you have to do it. Of course, if you watch my stuff or if you're working with me, I'm not afraid of doing some fenbendazole. I'm not afraid of doing some ivermectin. That can kind of help a person's budget for sure, as long as we have a good binder to go with it. And sometimes it's just necessary when we're really trying to solve, like if we're working on autoimmune issues or if we're working on the big C. I've got one guy who calls it fermentated cells. If we're working on fermentated cells, you got to pull out the big guns. You got to be aggressive with this stuff. If you're trying to roll back, big problems, I don't know. You're just worth it. And we have to figure out our budgets. And then, I mean, if you're going to let go of some other toxic stuff that you're doing, whether it's food or alcohol or, $7 lattes or whatever, I don't know. You have to find a way to do it if your health is at stake. And it's such a, especially as women, like we'll spend all this money on our kids or somebody else. But when it comes to putting down cash to heal ourselves, there's something in us that thinks we don't deserve it. And I think I have a scan for that. Like that's a really deep rooted subject. And a lot of times it's not about the money, it's about how you value or your lack of value on yourself. Like we all say, your health is your wealth, right? Your health is your wealth. Well, we have to put our health first, or we just don't have anything left, period. So always think about that. And I mean, I'll work with you. Like we'll try to figure it out. I kind of keep a benevolence fund, and I need to get a legitimate, like, application process or something, because if I win the lottery, man, I'd have an awesome healing center, that everybody would be welcome at. And I really consider myself not to be a greedy person. So I'm willing to help. I'm willing to help. Even like, maybe down the road, we'll have some kind of, somebody who sponsors somebody who's got money and has had an awesome recovery. Maybe there's down the road they'll be willing to sponsor somebody. So who knows what's coming. Another question: how do I know if I have parasites? Well, that is always the question. I can be kind of a smartass and say, put your fingers right here and just wait, find your pulse, you have parasites, right? That's kind of Cellcore's um, catty way of saying we all have parasites, but we're not all infested with them. I was severely infested with them. And there's a lot of reasons why. Immune system on a proton pump inhibitor for 15 years, so I had no stomach acid. I just had a mess. I was full of autoimmune disease, and I know what was going on in my gut. I know I was just knocking on the door of cancer, whether it was in my colon or my breast, being estrogen dominant and being full of yeast and candida. Like, for me, if I wouldn't have done this, if I wouldn't have done Cellcore, I'm 50 now. I don't know. Um, but well, I don't know if I had cancer how I would fight it. But I do know that if I wouldn't have put me first and spent the money to do Cellcore, I'd be having to spend the money on some other sick disease treatments. Like, that much I know. So, how do you know if you have parasites? My energy scan helps so much. It really helps. We can do things like, even like some blood work. Sometimes your even your white blood cells, if there's like your eosinophils, if they're off, that might be a sign. Physical signs: bad guts, constipation, loose stools, definitely IBS, Crohn's, colitis, all those itises, chronic disease. Period. There's a good chance you've got a pretty good parasite problem. If you got Epstein-Barr, if you've got herpes that wants to show up, those viruses need the parasite for the host, not you. So those things are really kind of fixable. When we get rid of the parasites, your body can handle the rest. So it all goes hand in hand. When we remove from the body what is not supposed to be there, replenish what is missing with good food, the body will heal. But the food is, so we have to eat food that has life. We have to eat food that has frequency. We can't eat sugar and preservatives and have no energy and expect our bodies to be clean vessels. That's just not how it is. Leg cramps, especially at night, a big sign of parasites, especially like in your calves because of that dependent edema. They kind of pool in the legs, jaw clenching at night, waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's like the witching hour. That also can be when you're having some cortisol spikes, but the cortisol spikes, the fight or flight, the chronic stress, all of that can be tied into parasites and can all be things that the body can self regulate and get corrected and fixed when you get rid of the parasites, right? Because the parasites are such a taxer on your body, like your mitochondria, your cell health. You have to have good mitochondria to make hormone. That mitochondria in your cells, the powerhouse of the cells, they can only do two things. They can either work for the immune system, fighting stuff, or they can generate energy. So chronic fatigue or mitochondrial dysfunction is, you got to get the parasites first so your body can build energy again. If you're sick and tired, you catch everything that comes around. Yeah, probably you really need your house cleaned. You really need your compost pile cleaned. Um, I already kind of touched on that MTHFR gene mutation thing. I just got a couple of good new products ordered. I'm going to be doing some searching for some more functional medicine education on how to help people manage this MTHFR thing. But if you even think that you might have an MTHFR, you want to get tested. Um, I do have a lab company that tests for that. And sometimes people do that, like 23andMe, I think, or the gene testing for the MTHFR. And you can do that too, but you just gotta know that that company's a little dirty. They will sell your information. Um, and I'm not sure. I haven't had anybody that wanted to do the full lab testing. The company that I use, I'm not sure if they're doing blood or doing saliva. I'll have to find out when this situation comes up. But I do know I looked at the price. That was not terrible. It used to be years ago, and it might even be that way now. If you ask your doctor about being tested for MTHFR, they'll probably tell you you have to go to Mayo Clinic or something like that. But if you want to be tested, blood tested for tumor markers, they'll probably tell you you have to go to a specialist for that too, which is silly. If you want to pay cash out of pocket for them, they're about $30 a piece. That's it. Then just between you and what you want to do with the information, right? So that's what's kind of fun about not billing insurance. You just pay cash, you find out what you want to know. I think that is about all I had on my list for questions. Does anybody else have anything before I wrap this up? I don't know. Things are exciting in my world. I was at training this last weekend. Um, I will have more scans for my machine. I got to get the software programmed in, but a lot more for emotion stuff. So there'll be a scan that's, I've never been the same since blank. Like you fill in the blank. A lot of people know that they had a certain thing that happened to them and their health changed. Like maybe it was they lost a child or a death, a divorce, a diagnosis, something that was probably not necessarily physical, but they know that they just started going downhill after that happened. So I put that in my software. Never been the same since, and you fill in the blank. Then the software searches, scans you, and what systems that's affecting. And then we will call those things out, and we use magnet and clear those emotions and say a little prayer and say, Yahweh, you know, take these negative things from this vessel. And we don't have to say the prayer. I just tend to say the prayer, right? Because that's the authority that I'm under. So if you're coming in to see me and you prefer I didn't talk about Yahweh, that's fine too. I'll just think it in my head. So anyway, then the software will say, is this clear? Is this done? And the software will say yes or no, do it again, or no, but take a break. So it's just really, really amazing how intricate our health is. Oh, I was gonna do castor oil packs. How long have I been on here? Just an hour. I'm gonna quick do castor oil packs. So castor oil packs are so cool, and they have been such a blessing to my business. They bring in new customers. I've had so many people that come in just to buy the castor oil packs. So um, I get behind sometimes. They come from Canada and the shipping is slow. So I try not to run out of them, but it does help. It does happen. So I use Queen of Thrones castor oil. This is my bottle. It's right here. That's how much of it I've used. Sometimes I use it like at night as wrinkle cream, but it really makes a mess of my pillowcases. So they are cold pressed. They did recently just do a little formulation that some people were a little upset about, but I talked to the company and I'm still cool with what they're doing. They're still hexane free, and they are going to be coming out with a black or a gold or a second oil. So anyway, there's that. If you were concerned about their changes, this is my castor oil pack. So I got them at the same time. I opened that bottle, and this is like, it's heavy, it's saturated with oil, and that's okay. I'm not gonna try to wash this thing. Like, if it gets like where I think it's too gross, I'm just gonna get a different one. I definitely would not throw this in my washing machine, because then you don't know what that oil is gonna get on the next time. Like, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't trust it. So when I am going to use this thing, I just put a line of oil right down the center of it. So it's probably only like a tablespoon of oil. And then I take and mash it that way, and then mash it that way. So it kind of spreads it out a little bit. And then let's see, if you're usually going to do your liver, and you're just going to put it up around. I do one strap at a time. You can tell what side goes out. So the oily side is going to go next to you. Then one strap at a time, and just cross them, bring them around, and then tie that. Tie that up. And of course, you'd be on bare skin, but I didn't think you guys wanted to see my bare skin. So it's just over my shirt for demonstration purposes. And then you're going to tie that on, and you're going to sleep with it. So I did have one gal, I was asking her how she was liking it. And she said, well, that made me feel yucky the next day. So that means her liver's kind of in tough shape, and she just needs to back it down and do it in the evening for a few hours. She's not ready to sleep in it. She's not ready. So this kind of gives a little hug, a little pressure, and then the pad itself kind of generates some heat. So it's using your body heat, trapping your body heat to warm up that oil and help that oil penetrate. So the oil itself has great healing properties. It's got vitamin E in it. It's got some omegas in it, polyphenols, and it's just got energy. So it's going to add cellular energy to your liver that needs extra energy. Like I said earlier in the video, it takes a lot of energy to produce bile. It takes a lot of cellular energy. So when your liver is kind of stagnant or struggling and not making new bile, just recirculating that old bile, it's a problem. It's a problem for your whole body. So that castor oil really helps generate more cellular charge, helps recharge that. For constipation. I did have somebody the other day thinks they were getting more constipated. So, um, increase exercise, increase fiber. Cellcore's got a product called Bowel Mover that is such a great combination. Take 2 of those and do your castor oil before bed, and the next morning, you're usually like, "Whoa, how was all of that in my colon?" Like, it's, crazy. But the castor oil, like, there's you can use that during your cycle. If you've got a bellyache, you can put it over your colon. You don't have to just put it over your liver. When I've gone through stages of this detox where my kidneys have been sore, where my back is sore up high, and it's not my back, it's my kidneys. So I'll put my castor oil pack up higher and energize my kidneys. We have a smaller thyroid pack that you can put over your thyroid as well. On the thyroid, like Barbara, she recommends adding some cayenne pepper to the castor oil, putting it over your thyroid for like tingly feet, like sluggish blood circulation in your feet. You can do the castor oil pack and put some of the cayenne in your castor oil and put it on your feet to help improve circulation so your feet aren't cold all the time. For that size, I have a kid size. I have in stock, I have a bigger pelvic pack. I've got a kid size, and that really is great for the size of your feet. The kids works really well for that. Then I've got like an eye and the Queen of Thrones. I'll be posting on Facebook like some of their little education um, little mock-ups, whatever they are, with the eyes. And then I've got an eye pack that's got little silver magnets in it that is really great. A lot of people use the castor oil for that eye kit, especially if they've had fake eyelashes and they're trying to get them to grow back. You put that castor oil on not in your eye, just on your eyes and go to bed with it. That pack helps again use your body heat to warm it up. People will say that their vision has greatly improved and that cataracts have greatly improved. I don't have personal experience with that. I'm just sharing what I've heard. So yeah, I'm glad I remembered to give a plug to those castor oil packs. I do keep them in the store if that's something that you're interested in. Stop in. So thank you for your time, everybody. If you're watching on replay, thanks for being here. Please do that thing where you hit the subscribe if you're on, well, Facebook or YouTube, but YouTube especially. Hit the subscribe and hit your notifications so whenever I go live, you will get a notification. I am working on TikTok. So I could use some more followers on TikTok. So get on TikTok, find my videos there as well. Thank you very much.
Here's my shout out to all you DIY folks in the house. My heart is DIY as well. I love to do things myself. And these days in this wellness space, we've got so much information. We have got access to all the cool stuff like castor oil packs, adrenal cocktails, foot soaks, lymph massage, rebounding, grounding, fasting, keto, you name it, we've tried it. We all know what Barbara says. The one thing you don't get as a DIYer is access to professional products. Until now, I have designed a really unique DIY system that gives you access to Cellcore Biosciences. You have not really detoxed or done a parasite cleanse until you've experienced Cellcore's 4-month foundation program. And you won't really know the difference until you really know the difference. Go to my website, awakenwellnessllc.com, and find the DIY tab. Let's get you access.